1 minute, students. So this is the last chapter in precious concrete, subject composite beams. Okay, first we will discuss introduction. So a composite beam is a structural element made up of two structural elements of different materials having different moduli which resist the applied load as a single homogeneous unit. Okay, while applying the external load, it behaves like a single homogeneous unit, but actually it is not a single homogeneous unit. There are two different materials are there. Okay, so one is pre-stressed concrete member, another one is above that pre-stressed concrete member cast in situ. Okay, so the composite construction is mainly used in highway bridges. As I already told, for bridge construction, this type of composite construction is majorly used. A pre-stressed precast concrete unit with the cast in situ slab from the composite beams. Okay, the composite sections are formed by using standard I sections, double T sections, and trough shaped sections. Okay, so you can see in Hyderabad Metro Railways, they used this trough shaped sections. I will show the picture. Schematic diagram. So trough shaped sections. So other for smaller spans, I sections, double T sections are used. The precast girders are spanning between the piers. The cast in situ slab mechanically bonded to the precast girders by shear connectors. Okay, by shear connectors. So shear connectors is the major element to connect this precast member, precast pre-stress member and cast in situ member. Okay, the composite construction is used in building too. Okay, in building also we can use. Also, in case of multi-beam bridge construction, the standard box sections with the shear connectors are placed side by side, and the concrete slab is cast at the top. Okay. In composite construction, the pre-stressed concrete precast element is first cast. So what we have to cast first? Pre-stressed concrete precast element. Okay, that means the bottom portion element. And the composite cross section is completed by adding the cast in situ slab. Okay, so at bottom it may be I section or T section. At top, we have to provide the cast in situ slab. In simple words, the composite construction involves two stages of operation. Okay, there are two stages of operation. Unlike the single operation carried out in casting simple precious concrete beams. So, two types of operation. One is pre-stressed precast elements. We have to cast first. Above that, in situ slab. Okay, in situ RCC slab. The behavior of composite beams can be understood with a note that the precast unit and in situ concrete slab have different elastic modeling. The different quality of concrete having different strength, shrinkage, and creep characteristics. So, what are the changes occurs between these two materials is different elastic modeling and a different shrinkage creep characteristics and a different strength also. So for normal precious concrete beam, we achieved around 35 MPa to 35 to 40 MPa. But in case of normal RCC, we go for M20 concrete and M25 concrete. So, okay. So these are the introduction. So what are the advantages? Advantages of composite beams. So considerable saving in cost is possible. So we know that in case of pre-stressed concrete beam, we need pre-tensioned wires and concrete grade also more. We need extra cement also. So this will increase the cost. So it is not economical. Okay, it's not economical. So in case of RCC, we are using normal steel and with lower grade concrete. So it is economical. Okay. So therefore, considerable saving in cost is possible in composite construction. Then conventional reinforced concrete construction or in fully prestressed concrete at the construction. Okay. This is the first important point and an economical point of view. Next, the composite construction does not require formwork and scaffolding, and it facilitates a continuous work without any interruption of regular traffic beneath. So why it is not formwork or not needed means because the slabs is resting on the pre-stressed member only. First we casted the pre-stressed member already. We casted and lifted and we placed in that piers. Okay, so above that only we are placing the cast institute concrete. Okay, so formwork are not needed, and also the work also we can carry out to fastly. So next, the precast concrete unit supports the forms of the cast institute slab, and hence there is a reduction in the false work and shoring cost. So whatever we discuss, same. In practice, institute slab of grade M20 and the precast units is between M30 to M60. Okay, so we can use institute slab as lower grade, and we can use we compulsorily use for prestressed concrete as higher grade. Okay, as the institute slab is lighter in weight, when compared to the precast prestressed concrete unit. The overall cost of construction so the overall cost of construction leads to economy. Okay, it is very economical compared to fully prestressed concrete members. Okay, the construction time gets reduced. With the use of precast elements. Okay, so next, the cast institute slab provides continuity at the ends of the precast elements over adjacent span. Okay, so we know that prestressed concrete beams is not a continuous one. So if you observe in the piers, there will be a gap. There will be a gap between every prestressed concrete I section member. Did you observe or not? Okay. So for this is due to expansion or contraction purpose. They are giving some gaps. So next time if you go to outside means please observe. So in the piers, the supporting piers, above that you can see the prestressed concrete beams are placed with some sufficient gaps. Okay, but above that prestressed concrete member, that cast institute slab will not have some gaps because it is a continuous one. So the continuity is achieved in cast institute slab. Next, the cast institute slab provides to the stability to the girder. Okay, so this is very, very important. It provides the stability. So this cast institute slab only provide the prestressed concrete beam in the sufficient place and gives more stable. Okay, in that pier. Okay, so this is very, very important stability criteria. Okay, as the composite construction includes the precast unit and it will be economical. If more precast units are manufactured in large numbers, as I already told, suppose a small span bridge is there, we can cast that prestressed members in the factories. So if you produce to more larger member means automatically it is very, very economical. Okay. So the composite construction includes the precast unit and it will be economical if more precast units are manufactured in large numbers. Okay. So here you can see different types of composite beams. So based on the shape. So first one is slab and girder. So here CIS. What is this CIS means? Cast in situ slab. Cast in situ slab. So here PC is nothing but pre-stressed concrete. So this is the I section. It is a pre-stressed concrete member, and above that, it is a cast in situ slab. This is called slab and girder type. Next, single T girder. Single T girder. So here you can see it is the pre-stressed concrete members are like a T section. So above that, this cast in situ slab is be placed. Okay. So next, double T girder. Double T, you can see it is like a, if you draw this line means this is 1T and this is 2T. Okay, so there are 2 T's are there. So double T girder. So next, hollow, actually this is hollow core, CORE. Okay, so they mentioned care, it is wrong. Hollow core slab, CORE. So hollow core is a very economical slab. Students, you know that the most economical section is I section. So like in case of slabs, we are giving holes. We are providing holes in the middle of the slab. Actually, this is the thickness of the slab. This is the pre-stressed concrete slab. Thickness means we are providing holes means it is behaves like the I section. You can see, I will draw that one. You can see this is a ice. It is like a I section. It is like a I section. Okay. So I section is the most economical one that we already know. Okay. So the portion of these holes, considerable material saving is there. Considerable material saving is there. So this is called hollow core slab. Next, coming to trough-shaped precast girder. So most of the metro bridges, okay, in Hyderabad and Chennai, whatever it may. Okay, so mostly we are preferring this type of trough-shaped precast girder. So trough-shaped in the sense, you can see it is like a trapezoidal shape. The pre-stressed concrete members shape is like a trapezoidal shape. Okay, trapezoidal shape. So it is called trough type. And above that, we are providing cast in situ slab. Okay. So these are all the different types based on the shape. Composite members are there. Student, this question is very important. Why? Because in most of the question paper they asked draw the different types of composite beams. Even in your syllabus also, you can see in your syllabus different types. The first word is different types only. So these are the different types of composite beams. Okay, so practice this diagrams. It is this 5 diagrams is very important. Okay. So next, coming to composite beams, propped and unpropped. What do I mean by prop? See, prop is nothing but an external support, extra support. Unpropped means there is no support. So here we have to deal 2 types of problems. One is the beam is unpropped condition. What is the stresses produced? And the second one is propped condition, unpropped condition and propped condition. What is the behavior? What is the behavior of the beams? Okay, so this is very important. So now we will see what is in by propped and unpropped. So in composite construction, The precast pre-stressed units are made in factory with good quality control. So in composite construction, the precast pre-stressed units are made in the factory with good quality control. The cast in situ slab is made at site, okay, and placed at the top of the precast unit. So first, actually, what is the sequence procedure means? So the precast member, suppose I section member is there, means it is casted in the factory, and it is transported to the particular site, that bridge site, and it is lifted through cranes, okay, and it is placed in the piers, between two piers, okay. So after placing and alignment everything, okay, so centering is done, centering and shuttering. After that, above that, we are placing the cast in situ, normal RCC concrete. Okay, so the interface means what? So the junction between the pre-stressed concrete and normal RCC cast in situ slab. Okay, the interface between these two structural units, that is the precast pre-stressed beam and the cast in situ slab, are either roughened. So cast in situ slab we can't roughen, okay, but in case of pre-stressed concrete beam we have to roughen, and shear connectors are provided. So shear connector is nothing but, so where the shear force is maximum, at the support only. So in that place, in the slab, they are providing the shear connectors. It is a structural element only, are provided to enable composite action. So this shear connectors only give more bond between the precast unit and as well as cast in situ units. Okay. So next, coming to propped construction. In case of propped construction, so we know that the prop construction, initially the beam, the I section beam is propped. That means below the beam we are giving supports, lot of supports. Okay. So now above that beam we are providing RCC concrete. That is, when the precast pre-stressed units are propped, assume that below that I section beam, pre-stressed beam, we are providing sufficient props. Okay, the self height of the cast in situ slab. Okay, under this condition, we are casting the cast in situ slab. So now self height, where it is gone? The self height of the cast in situ slab is acting when props are removed. Okay, so at that time, while casting, props are there. Okay, so the self height of the slab is taken care by the props. So while after hardening, we are removing the props. So now what happened? Automatically, the self height of the member is transferred to the beam only. Okay, self height of the slab is taken care by the beam only. Before that, props will taken care. So after removing the props, the entire slab height will be taken care by the beam only, the I section beam. So the flexural stresses are calculated using the sectional properties of the composite section. Okay. So this is the propped construction. Suppose unpropped construction. If the precast unit is unpropped, okay, so in this case, we are not providing any props under the beam. When the cast in situ slab concrete is placed, so the self height of the cast in situ slab acts as a dead load. Okay, so this is very, very important point. So before that, we are providing props below the beam. So the self height, that means dead load, is transferred to props only. But here directly it is transferred to the beam only. So it acts like a dead load on the precast unit. So the flexural stresses are calculated using the sectional properties of the precast only. Okay, students. So this is the propped construction and unpropped construction. So now here you can see this is the resultant stress diagram. So first we will discuss the propped construction. Okay, propped construction. So this is your propped precast unit. You can see this is the rectangular precast concrete beam. Rectangular precast concrete beam. And this is cast sensitive slab. So now how to draw the stress diagram. So you can see first stress is initial stress. Initial stress means at the time of applying pre-stress. So up to this I am focusing only pre-stressed concrete. You can see up to this portion. That means up to 3 diagrams I am focusing only pre-stressed beam, not cast in situ slab. So forget about cast in situ slab. So now you can see the pre-stressed concrete beam. Initially the tendons are stressed. So this is initial stress. Okay. Effective stress. What is the difference between initial stress and effective stress? So suppose we are giving 1000 kilonewton. So P by A is the initial stress. Effective stress means after losses. After losses. Okay, suppose 20% losses occurs. So initially we are giving 1000 kilonewton. Finally, it is only 800 kilonewton only is there. So that is called, so that after losses, that 800 kilonewton divided by area is called effective stress. So now you can understand what is the difference between initial stress and effective stress. Initial stress means at the time of applying force. Final stress, that means effective stress means after losses. Okay, after losses stress. Okay, next coming to stress due to self-height. Stress due to self-height means only pre-stressed concrete beam. Only pre-stressed concrete beam. Okay, next stress due to cast in situ. Stress due to cast in situ. As I already told, this cast in situ slab, when propped condition, this cast in situ slab and its self-height is directly taken by the prop. So the entire portion is subjected to stress. The entire portion is subjected to stress. So you can see for that purpose, we are starting from top, cast in situ slab. Okay, cast in situ slab. So the entire portion is subjected to stress after removing the prop. Okay, so initially the cast in situ slab dead load is transferred to the prop, but finally both the cast in situ, after removing the prop, both cast in situ slab and pre-stressed concrete being subjected to stress. So it will start from the top. So next, live load stress. So both cast in situ slab and the pre-stressed concrete beam is subjected to live load stress. So live load is taken by both the member. So composite action is occurs. So this also we have to start from the top, and this is the final resultant stress. You can see these are all 2 plus, and here plus minus plus minus plus minus. So we need a top stress means you have to add all these top values, and if you want a bottom stress means we have to add all the bottom values. So finally we got this resultant stress. Next, coming to unpropped condition. So up to first 3 diagrams, you can see first 3 diagram is same as per your propped condition. So initial stress, effective stress, and stress due to self-height. Next, coming to cast in situ. As I already told, in case of unpropped condition, this cast in situ slab dead load is taken care by the beam only. Okay, this is the small difference. You can see all other diagrams are same. Only this diagram is the difference between propped condition and unpropped condition. So due to the dead load taken care by the beam only, so the stress value start from the bottom of the slab or top of the beam. Okay. Next, live load stress is same, and resultant stress is summation of all these values, and at top, okay, at bottom, summation of all these values. Okay, student. So these are all the stress diagram. This is very, very, very important diagram. So next class we will discuss the problem in the propped condition and unpropped condition. Okay, so here you can see this is the problem, and we are calculating all the stress. Finally, we are drawing this propped condition and unpropped condition stress distribution diagram. Okay, students. So if you study this only one problem is enough for your final exam, because same type problem only they will ask in the examination.